Hey, good to meet you, Sanch. And good morning and good afternoon, good evening to everybody. This is Mukai Girish, co-founder and CEO of Rockfish Data. It is delightful to have this conversation with Sanch at talkingly.ai. So at Rockfish Data, we are helping enterprises overcome data bottlenecks. One of the key challenges today in making AI work is data bottlenecks, especially sparsity of data as well as data sharing constraints. And Rockfish, we are addressing this squarely by using and leveraging synthetic data in order to make all of this happen. Again, the future of AI is bright. AI is upon us, and I'm looking forward to having this wonderful conversation with Sanch. Sanch, welcome, and would love to hear a little bit more about your background and also the story of talkingly.ai and what inspired you to start it.
Excellent. Well, thank you ever so much, Girish, for having me today. I am so excited to even kick this conversation off with you. I'm sure our viewers have got a lot to learn and a lot of jokes coming their way. So thank you ever so much. I'll start off by just having a quick introduction about myself. So my name is Sanchali, but I usually like to go by Sanch because it's just short and sweet. And I am an ex-Microsoft. I started off my career after graduating from IIM Bangalore. I was in Microsoft, and then after that, I've moved on to do other companies. And right now, I am the co-founder and chief product officer of Talkingly AI. Now, Talkingly AI, we are envisioning the next generation of web. We're envisioning that every website is going to be having these AI agents. And from Talkingly AI, this agent is called Talkie. And in the future, all of these AI agents would collaborate with each other to solve real customer problems. So that's what Talkingly AI is all about. Leading on to the next question, where you said that what kind of inspired us to do this. So I would like to share two very prominent stories from my life. So for the first one, just to backtrack a little bit, I work as a Royal Voluntary Services telephone person for the senior people here in the England, Wales, and Scotland. Now, as part of this voluntary work, what we have to do is we have to call them, frequently. Any senior folks who don't have a lot of family, they feel old and lonely sometimes, we call them, and essentially they do become our friends over time. So as part of this Royal Voluntary Services, I was speaking to one of these senior persons I have, and she's today a very good friend of mine. And she mentioned to me, she was frustrated one day, and she was like, I saw this very beautiful lamp on the telly. I would love to buy it. And then I, instinctively I told her, oh yes, you can just get it off Amazon because she's not very mobile. And I think I did not understand her pain at the time. In our subsequent conversations, she ended up telling me, so the thing is, I cannot buy it because I'm not very comfortable. So things that come naturally to me or to Gen X and Gen Z don't really come naturally to her. So there is very clearly this digital divide. And up until now, Girish, we have always thought that technology uniformly enables us. But unfortunately, in this very incident, I thought that the technology did not uniformly enable us. So this was one. Then the other story from my life is, I've got an European friend. He's conversant in English. He can have a decent conversation, but again, he was frustrated one day. He was trying to buy this Italian native and very old sort of a product, which he could define in his native language, but he could not really define that very properly in English. So I noticed that there is a business that's definitely willing to sell a product. There is a customer set that is willing to purchase it, but the bridge between the two is certainly missing. So that ease of communication seems to be missing. And ironically, language is the thing we all humans built and evolved over the years to build our connections, but it disconnects us in so many ways. So all in all, I and the co-founders thought that we needed to create sort of a communication channel between the businesses as well as the customers so that they can come together, and which is a win-win situation for both. And that's how Talkingly AI was born. And when Talkingly AI was born, there was a very famous quote of Charles Darwin that comes to mind, that we humans have an instinctive ability to speak. So I'm sure, Girish, when we both are born, what's the first thing we learn to do? We learn to speak, we learn to babble. We don't learn to write, we don't learn to bake, we don't learn to brew. So at that time, we thought that bridging the gap between the business and the customer and doing that in a natural way. That seems to be the answer to the world's problems today, especially when it comes to the online businesses and the digital divide and the native, so many languages today that that are there in the world. So that's how Talkingly AI really came into being.
Fascinating, Sanch. That's pretty amazing, actually, journey. And of course, what is ahead is even more fascinating. Again, for us, same way at Rockfish in a different setting, we got started thanks to a lot of research that happened at Carnegie Mellon University. Two of
Mhm.
my co-founders are faculty members there, and then we realized that we could really leverage that to solve real world problems to make AI work for everybody. I think, as you mentioned, making it work for everyone is a key thing today, not just a select few, right? Um,
Exactly, because today the world lives and breathes on the World Wide Web. Like just like you have breakfast every day, you meet your family every day, you go to the internet probably multiple times just in an hour. So it's very important to make sure that the web speaks to you in a way that you understand best, and I think that's where AI comes into the picture.
Absolutely. So, Sanj, maybe you can double click a bit more on this, to what you mentioned in terms of customer engagement is getting transformed in various ways and making it so much better, and both conversation-wise and otherwise. How is AI playing a role in this? If we can touch on that a bit more in detail, that would help.
No, of course, why not? I think before we even get to that question, Girish, I would like to first explain to our viewers what AI means in the simplest terms today. So it is the ability of the machine to understand language of billions of people with their idiosyncrasies. So for example, if you are using ChatGPT today, you might use it in a completely different format. Like you would prefer your answers to be in a certain style. And the way I would use that would be completely different, which means we are able to scale personalization using AI and the ability of it to understand the human language. So one of the ways that, in my opinion, truly helps in fact changing the customer engagement is by intent understanding. So that's something that, of course, going back to my examples, and at the same time, when we introduce Talkie, helping the businesses understand what their customer needs because it becomes the most important thing. How do we do that? Is by understanding the intent. Now, how do you understand the intent the most? When you can speak. Now, when I'm talking with you, I talk multiple things. I bring in various factors. I bring in my emotions. You can hear the tone of my voice. So there's so much more that today the businesses can learn from their customers, which they couldn't learn before. Now that they can learn their needs, they can understand them better and serve them better. In Talkingly, we have introduced something that's called the the sentiment analysis as well. So when Talkie is speaking to your website visitors, it captures that intent of the customers constantly. Secondly, speaking from the Talkingly AI's perspective, it is able to generate real-time voice under 800 milliseconds, which is a huge jump from where we were, a couple of decades ago. So you might have seen that we always use text or image. On the web today, you've got so many websites. Primarily, you've got text and you've got videos and you've got a lot of images. But now making it voice first, I think that is the main change. And now the customers can feel that warmth even when they're speaking to AI agents, because AI agents now understand customer empathy. They're able to tweak the tone and the way they are talking to different customers. So for example, at Talkingly, we have introduced multilingual Talkie, which means if you are a business sitting out of US, California, and you've got a German customer, it will be able to speak in German, number one, and then it will also be able to tweak according to the cultural nuances, which is very important. Then, of course, having the ability to do back and forth conversations. You might remember, Garish, we used to have these bots, which pretty much work in a loop, and they are mostly question answer based, like one question, one answer. There is no prompting, there is no flow of conversation. So I think that, again, AI is able to do. And of course, AI can now understand you more, personalize more, and predict about your consumer behavior more. So combine all of this. When we did our beta launch and during the beta test, we are noticing that the engagement rates suddenly go up because now customers want to talk more. The website visitors, they're asking ambiguous questions, they're asking difficult questions. The conversion rates suddenly go up. Now these potential website visitors could be your potential customers, because now they're getting to know more, and the overall experience of theirs is beautiful. So all in all, I think it's a win-win situation. Businesses are able to impact their top line using AI and really impact the revenue. And it's a great experience for our customers as well.
Yeah, fascinating. I think what we discovered as well, given the new approach of AI, again, we can call it agentic AI, AI agents, or AI that works autonomously in some form or shape in many ways. Um, they great concepts. The intent is great, but by the time you put it in production, unfortunately, things fall apart. They fall off a cliff, right? So testing them, reliability and consistency and coverage seem to be a big issue. And one of the stuff that we are addressing with data, with the ability to test them correctly so that you know what the expected outcome is and are they meeting it, and having that excellent reliability is what makes these things work well. Fascinating. I think so. The opportunities for this, Sanch, is phenomenal, right? I think you can literally every customer conversation entering into this new paradigm is going to create a phenomenal set of opportunities. At the same time, like anything else, they bring a lot of challenges as well, because like what we see in many settings where people can exploit this in the wrong direction, wrong way. Businesses can actually, if they know you more, they could actually influence you more, to buy things and all that. So things there are a tremendous amount of challenges. Of course, a lot of stuff that people like you and I and others in the industry, our ecosystem do, is to make sure that we bring value at the same time we can mitigate these challenges. Would love to hear your thoughts on both opportunity side as well as the challenges and how you are looking at it and addressing them.
No, absolutely. So just like we spoke about the positive impact of AI into this customer engagement world, especially, there are lots of challenges that we also face at Talkingly AI. And in fact, one of the most prominent ones I want to talk about is the cost. So as I said, we have launched it into beta. We are just observing the different trends. We are noticing now customers are wanting to talk a lot using the voice-first conversational agents, which means in order to support that kind of audio, you're going to have a very high, robust, reliable infrastructure cost, which you'd need to carry on. So I think cost is becoming a major problem. Now, how we are solving it is by using smart engineering techniques. We are trying not to push all of that cost back to the customer and just use some really smart engineering techniques to combat that cost factor at least. Then second comes, as you rightly said, about the evals and about making sure that the system is extremely accurate to be adopted by the customers. So we noticed during the beta test that now customers are asking difficult and ambiguous questions. Now that means LLMs, the large language models, they start to hallucinate. Now, what is hallucination? AI just makes up information, let's say about an answer, and then it presents it very confidently. So you can think of it as AI making things up. And that's precisely what a hallucination is. So if your AI product is today hallucinating and your product doesn't come across as accurate enough for your customers, it is going to fail because it will not be adopted by the customers. It could be B2B or it could be B2C. So different ways, as you said, we could use to reduce these hallucinations could be, you could use evals. Now, if there's anyone who is moving from a traditional product management into an AI product management, I think you have to start involving evals from day one into your system design. You could use different kinds of evals. There is MMLU. Now for, let's say, medical websites, we have used med evals. You could use simple sequencing question and answer, squad evals, or glue, but they really help you to benchmark the accuracy of your system so that you're not just shipping out anything into production. That's very true. Some other methods that we have used, and the others out can also use as well, could be grounding. Adding very prominent, significant, important guardrails into the system so that AI is not just going out, just going out of the conversation. It always stays in the context for the website, in our case. Then you can also use some things called the SLMs, which is the small language models. So for larger websites, we wanted to have these small language models, which are very much intact which are very much intact. We provide instructions to these LLMs not to get too creative, but just to stick to the data that you know. Now, again, as an AI product manager in my career, I would always say do not risk accuracy in your system. One other challenge, Girish, and that's something I'm quite sure that you might be facing as well, is the fact of the change management. So change management is a huge thing, especially now that we're moving away from traditional systems into this more generative sort of AI products. Something that we experience at Talkingly. So you have a website, we punch in that little avatar, you could go in and start speaking to it. But is that your muscle memory? Today, when you go to website, your muscle memory is that you go and you start looking into the website, you start clicking here and there. So I think when we were going through this, and especially knowing that it's the consumers, it's the end users that we are going to be serving, we came to the fact that we'll have to do an A/B test. We did some, we created some random subsets of people. And then we found out that people were not really clicking on that because of the muscle memory. Hence, we had to go back, change the feature. And now when Talkie is installed on your website, it prompts you first. So the moment you go on the website, it's like, hey, welcome, Girish. Thank you for coming in to so-and-so business's website. How can I help you today? So that kind of prompted the conversation. And that's why I say that change management is going to be a big piece in the future.
Fascinating. And Sanch, I know the world is, at least part of the world is talking about AGI and ASI, artificial general intelligence and artificial super intelligence and so on. Um, given that a lot of these conversational aspects, as it kind of steps up to the point where it becomes human-like, or oftentimes even better than humans. Um, how do you see it? And how is it sort of going to impact the human society in general as we go forward?
So yeah, very interesting question. I've pondered over this for a very long time, and I think the only two main thoughts that I could come up with, Girish, on this one is we know that this artificial general intelligence is what we are aiming to achieve in the next couple of years or hopefully decades. It'll pretty much be like a machine human. It's able to do tasks autonomously. It is able to, be self-reliant, self-healing, having all sorts of capabilities. The only thing that would be different is it doesn't eat like us. So one thing that would be very interesting for me as a product leader would be to see, does it also inherit the human vices? I think that would be super interesting for us to see, does it do that? Because if essentially it does that, then we'll pretty much end up in the world that we are in today. Because again, that forms the very fundamental basis of how it'll start making changes to the world. And the second thought that I had about AGI, that if we are looking into a future where the AI agents are literally doing everything for us, from the field jobs to the non-field jobs to creatives, non-creatives, everything, then do you and I get to sit back on our couch, put my feet up, and just enjoy our lives watching Netflix?
Yeah, interesting thoughts, right? It can go in so many different directions. We'll see how it unfolds, but at least what you're doing at talkingly.ai and what we are doing here at Rockfish Data, and of course, many of the other companies, as well as so many other institutions around the world. Fascinating times, great to be in this area, and more importantly, nice to talk to you about this. Thanks again. Really appreciate the time.
No,
Fascinating.
thank you ever so much, Girish. It was great speaking with you. Thank you.